Hello. This video will be what I learned during my first SOC or Season of Conquest. For some context, my first SOC was a Heroic Anthem 2v2 KVK. So some things will apply to all KVKs, some just for SOCs, some just for Heroic Anthem. So let's get into it. There are 4 main points that I learned through my first Season of Conquest. Resource allocation, the new Season of Conquest tech, action point usage, and commander investments. So for resource allocation, one thing that I have to say is don't fight with T5 the whole time. As this was my first KVK as T5, I was super excited, so I fought with T5 for a majority of the KVK. But what you learn is you run out of resources super fast. Even though I thought I was good with resources going to the SOC, I ended up having to use some tokens due to the amount of T5 that I was using. Using T5 is still important, but I would say for the general skirmishes, use T4, but for the important fights such as Kingsland, such as Altars, using T5 is probably advisable in those situations. Another point is to gather resources you need for the certain troop types you plan on using. For example, for this KVK, I actually ended up with almost as much stone as I started with, but I ended up becoming broke with food and really low on wood. This is because I gathered stone as much as I gathered food and wood. So I would say gather wisely based on the types of marches you plan on using on the field for that KVK. If you plan on using infantry, gather food, wood, and gold. If you plan on using cav, food, stone, and gold. And then for archers, wood, stone, and gold. Don't zero yourself in Zone 5. For my count, I went down to 48 million power during Zone 5, to the point where I couldn't even field marches anymore. I had so much dead for that zone. Zone 5 is not a necessary zone. You don't need that zone to win KVK and HA. Because it only gives you sanctuaries and bastions. Hit goals if needed, but save troops, speed-ups, and resources to zones that matter, so such as Zone 6, past 7s, and eventually Kingsland. Now some notes about the new SOC tech changes, from my opinion, is that you have to be a low spender to be relevant in this KVK. They made Lucerne Scrolls equivalent for SOC, I think it's called Crystal Quests, I'm not too sure, but it gives a lot of crystals for the price, and it lowers the gap between low spenders to whales, but it makes the gap higher from low spenders to free to play. They nerfed the free to play event Kal Karak, so it doesn't give as many crystals as it used to, so I'm not sure how much that would change my experience, but I'm sure it'd be a huge nerf to especially the free to plays. So I was able to feel relevant. Open fielding against anyone as a mid spender, so that's pop-ups plus Lucerne plus daily crystal supply is what I got for the KVK. Next point is on AP usage. Chaining is the way to go, even with level 15 forts. Chaining gives more crystals, speed-ups, and resources than forts if you chain 3 or more barbs. Another point is that forts are risky. Sometimes forts fail, especially at the higher levels. If there's any time for you to chain, it's during Season of Conquest due to the higher cost of AP it takes to hit things. So barbs cost 80 AP and forts cost 300 AP at base just to attack and hit them. Pre-KVK is won by training, so I would say it's not worth spending all your AP to 5 March Marauders, and it'd be better spent chaining, gaining crystals during KVK. The 3% all damage is nice for your KD, but it's not necessary to win. Only push if you're a whale and you want first individual pre-KVK score. So finally, commander investments. What I found out from this SOC is I wish I just saved every gold head I've gotten for SOC. Pre-SOC commanders feel out of place and they get overpowered by the newer commanders, even with relic buffs. If I were to do it over, I would suggest not to invest in anything except for YSG/Richard if you plan on getting top 20 sometime in your ROK career. If not, then saving all your gold heads for SOC commanders is probably what I would say if you're planning late game for your account. And there's going to be a video to come about how commanders transition from pre-SOC to SOC. And yeah, that's all I've learned from my first SOC. There's probably some more, but just a quick thought to put down on paper, and hopefully they're helpful. Anyways, I'll see you later. Peace.